All right, hey everybody. Welcome to our session, How Chevron Fuels Cloud Data Modernization. Today we're going to be talking about the transition that Chevron's making to a cloud-based future, moving away from our legacy ERP systems and a low information environment into a high information environment. And then we're also going to show you some of the capabilities that ThoughtSpot has in a live demo. All right, so the speakers today are me. I'm Ben Vanderheid. I am an insight delivery analyst at Chevron in the Finance Technology Services group. And we also have Francois, SVP of Product Management at ThoughtSpot, is going to be giving you a demo after me. So the before times, how everything used to be before we started moving towards a cloud-based intelligent future. Our legacy ERP and BI systems have always been kind of a sore point for our finance team, right? We have multiple ERP systems. We're not working with one unified system that can give anybody all the data. We have different instances of SAP, we have JDE, we're a global company with different business streams. We have ships, we have oil wells, obviously. We have all different kinds of processes, and this led to a real spreading out of the technologies that were used over the years. So we have a lot of different ERPs that don't really talk to each other. In addition to that, we have existing legacy BI tools. And these legacy BI tools can be flexible, but they don't have the ability to democratize data. You need somebody who is really good at using them to make them effective. And you can't really have somebody that is a business leader that's not a technical expert use them. You also ended up with a huge amount of spreadsheets and emails, right? Everything was downloaded out of an ERP system, put in an Excel sheet, emailed to somebody put some comments on it or some numbers in it, they emailed it to somebody else, and then you've got three versions. You're supposed to be using version 3, but you're actually using version 2, and that just goes on all the time. So this is not a sustainable environment, and it led to a few problems. One is access and expertise. As I mentioned a little bit, data is not useful in its raw form. You need to turn data into information from which you can glean insights. And when you have multiple systems, you can't do that easily as a regular user. You needed to have access to all of the different ERP systems and the way to get the data out of all of them, which nobody really had. You also had to have a lot of domain knowledge. A person who didn't have a deep understanding of what the data meant wouldn't really get anything out of it. They can pull all the data they want, but it's going to be codes they don't know the meaning to, cost centers they don't understand. It's going to be just a lot of jumbled information that's not going to give them any information or generate any insights. So you really had to have somebody with all the access and expertise that was required. You also had a problem with response time. If a leader of the business had a question, they would need to send a note to the finance manager, who would then delegate this out to a finance analyst. They'd then go in their ERP system, download all the data they needed, put it in Excel, maybe made a pivot table, did some calculations, back to the finance manager, back to the business manager, and then finally they would have the answer that they were looking for. You also had a problem with response times in our legacy BI tools. You can't just quickly on the fly bring in new information that's not already pre-built in the dashboard you're using. You need somebody to go in the power user version and make the changes, add in the new information, hope that it's what you're actually asking for, send it to the analyst who then looks at it and might say, oh, this is still not right, sends it back to the power user who's going to curate the data. So all of this leads to a low information regime. The business leader starts to realize, oh, if I ask a question, it's going to take 4, 5, 6 days for me to get an answer in some cases. It's going to take a long time, and they might even tell me they don't even have access to the information they need to give me the answer. So the business leader stops asking questions, or they ask only the bare minimum. And all this leads to the low information regime where because of the time spent gathering information and how hard it was to get the information to the right person, people just went without. They would only use the absolutely mission critical information that they knew they could get, that they had existing processes to reach, and nobody was able to make any enhanced decision making because of that. But today, we are moving in a better direction. Our finance department now has the ability to use Databricks and ThoughtSpot together. What this does is it brings all of our data from all of our disparate ERP systems into one data lake, right? That data lake is virtualized and accessible by Databricks. So now all of the data is available. Anybody who has access to the lake can get it. This is not always helpful, though, for everybody in the finance department. People in finance are generally not SQL experts. They are generally not well-versed in data structures, in metadata, and how it all works together. So then we use ThoughtSpot to work together with Databricks. With ThoughtSpot, they can access the data in a natural way, a way they understand. You can easily put in synonyms, whatever comments they like to see. You can easily visualize the data in a way that makes sense to the user, and they can access the data using natural language. That's really key for somebody who is not a data expert. So these two together allow us to have a data-informed decision environment, right? Now, people can quickly and easily get access to the information they need to give the answers that people are looking for. So if we think about the regime that we talked about before in the low information regime and flip it on its head, think about it from the perspective today, right? Now, all of our analysts can access the data in real time. The tools that ThoughtSpot has are incredibly flexible, and they allow the analyst to create new calculations on the fly. They allow people who are not analysts at all, who don't understand finance data, they allow them to ask the question in a natural way. So it democratizes the data. This also helps with response times. Leadership can engage directly with the data and ask questions in natural language. So now, instead of sending an email to the finance manager, sends an email to the financial analyst who then looks at the data, hopes he has it, sends it back to the finance manager, sends it back to the business manager. That's not happening anymore. Now the business manager can just ask the question directly into the tool. He can go to ThoughtSpot and type what he wants to know, give him an answer. Now, the analyst is not spending all the time generating that answer. They're not spending all the time pulling information out of an ERP, manipulating it in Excel, trying to make sure that they have the right data, trying to help update some existing dashboard. So they can take this free time they have and perform deeper and more impactful analysis. Now, they can think about, well, what would the business manager need to know that they don't even know they need to know? Or they've been afraid to ask because in the low information regime, they knew that it would be too hard to get an answer. Now the analysts can do their job much better than they could before. They have more time and better tools to do their job. So with all this extra time and all these better analyses, we move into a high information regime. Now, the business decisions can be informed by higher quality insights that the analysts can generate using these tools, and better decisions will lead to better operational performance. So it really does have an impact on the ground, the ability to get this information. So that's where we're at today, but now it's time to think about the future a little bit, because nothing is standing still, especially in this space, as you all know. That's why we're at the Databricks conference. So the future right now is about agentic AI. In the future, you, even an analyst, will not have to work as hard to generate insights. You will not have to hope you're getting insights that are useful or they are correct in terms of they have the right information. Now, going forward, we can start using things like Spotter, ThoughtSpot's agentic AI system. So it used to be hard. What used to take a lot of time and effort to get an answer to can be done using very, very natural language. We have a little GIF you can see on the side here. You can see how you can talk to the agent and just say, oh, no, I actually meant this. And it'll instantly correct the query that you were trying to craft. You don't even need to know SQL. It'll craft the SQL for you. It'll pull the data. It'll really make everything a lot better for the analyst doing the analysis. They can also use the agents as thought partners. So you can ask the agent, okay, what should I be thinking about? And even if it doesn't give you the perfect answer, oh, this is the exact ratio that the business leader needs to know, it might get your thoughts moving, right? A lot of times when I talk to some kind of LLM, it'll tell me something and I'll be like, well, that's not quite right, but now it makes me think of this. So it's a thought partner with the analyst. These agentic systems will help the analyst come up with new and novel analyses that they didn't have before. They'll also be able to make these things work autonomously and have them use reasoning ability, and it will be a really important path going forward for all functions, but I think especially for finance. It's going to be a core competency in the future. It's not going to be In the future, you will not be able to be a successful financial analyst unless you are using these tools to their utmost capabilities to understand how you can use them to better inform business decisions. So now I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are important to have a successful transition from a legacy low information ERP regime into a modern cloud-based one. So I'm not going to spend any time talking about the technical aspects of it. It's easy enough to do that it's pretty incredible how easy it really is to do. So what I'm really going to focus on is more of the organizational change aspect, how to work with your partners at your company to try to get things done. You do want to make sure that you engage with the customers to understand what they want. And this doesn't just mean ask them, what kind of reporting do you want? Do you want a new report for your operating expenses? Do you want this or that? You really need to have them as partners. Try to create something, make sure that you have the exact data they're looking for, work iteratively, make sure that as something comes out, you say, okay, here's our MVP 1, is this what you're looking for? They'll probably have some feedback. You got to make sure you're working hand in hand with the customers to understand exactly what they're looking for and how you can make their lives better. The other thing that's important is to work with your data architects to understand your data environment. So earlier this year, we did a new POC with ThoughtSpot and a business unit. And our data team was tied up, a lot of competing priorities. So we just decided to go and try to build it ourselves. And it's kind of a testament to how easy to use tools like Databricks and ThoughtSpot are, that we built the whole thing out. And then once the data team was available to work with us, they looked at it, and we almost had it right, but not quite. The important part is that there's just that 10, 15% of stuff where this is not exactly the right table, you should have been using this one. And this is the newer view, this is the newer hierarchy, whatever the case is. So as easy as the tools are to use, make sure that you also work with the data department to make sure that the data is absolutely the best data that you can be using. It's also really important to have a blue sky attitude. A lot of people get stuck in old ways. They think about what's always been done, how things have been done in the past. They don't really consider the possibilities of doing something in the future when they don't think about what's never been asked before. It's really important to just say, okay, in a perfect blue sky scenario, what would I want to see? How would I build that? It can really open up a lot of opportunities, and you might even find yourself going down paths that you didn't think about in the first place because your other idea led to that one. So just keep an open attitude towards everything. The other thing is important is to develop an understanding of the new capabilities. So you're going to have a lot of new capabilities that you didn't have before, and to effectively get buy-in from customers and make the best possible products, you need to understand how these things work. Know what they can do, and show people what they can do. There will be a lot of folks that don't really understand what is possible in the new regime, so it's really important that you develop your own understanding so you can effectively communicate that. Now on the other side, we have some things not to do. Don't build things speculatively, hoping that you'll have a customer. One of the first things that Chevron built with ThoughtSpot, they guessed at what a customer might want, and they were wrong. So they built it, took it to the customer, and the customer said, no, well, that's not what we need. It's really important that you have a customer involved. It'll make everything easier and better from building it out to getting buy-in to generating value. Make sure that you have a customer that you're working with and not just building speculatively. Also, don't try to recreate the current state. There are some people are going to say, oh, well, we've always had this report built out this way. We want to see it like this. Challenge that. Do you really need it like that? Is it absolutely crucial for you to have it in that exact format? Are you okay with the same information maybe laid out a little bit differently? There's a lot of folks that I work with who have these Excel spreadsheets with like multiple merged and centered columns and all kinds of formatting, and they don't want to see anything any other way. And that can lead to a lot of roadblocks in a lot of different areas. So, challenge the assumptions about what's always been done. Make sure that you're working towards what's needed, not what is wanted because it's the easy path that's always been on. Also, don't make assumptions about what customers want or what is possible. This sounds kind of similar to the one where you have to engage with the customers to work what they want. to understand what they want. But the difference here is that you don't want to assume that what you're building for them at their request even is what they actually want. It goes back to that iterative engagement with the customer. They say they want this piece of data, make sure you're working with them to get the right piece of data. They're the business experts usually in that group. They will understand what they're looking for better than you as someone who doesn't work in that business directly. So make sure that you're working with them constantly to make sure that the information you're getting is right. And finally, don't hesitate to evangelize and demo. The more people that see the advanced new tools that we have, the more people want to get involved with them. A lot of people have seen generic demos, but when you can build a demo for some group using their own data, it's much more impactful. It really makes a world of difference if you can build out a POC at a customer's request using the customer's data. It really does help the customer see what could be done in this new environment. And don't hesitate for people that say, oh no, I don't care, I just want a off-the-shelf demo. Show them other data too, that's fine. But just make sure you get out there because our experience has been that the more people see it, the more people want it. So just make sure you're evangelizing this new high information regime to everybody that you can. All right. That is the end of my remarks. Now we will have Francois show us some of the ThoughtSpot capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. So, who already heard about ThoughtSpot in the room? Little bit. So let me give you like a short introduction, and then I want to show you a little bit what all the goodness that Ben was speaking about, how we can bring you insight easily. So ThoughtSpot has been around for quite some time. We are leader in the Magic Quadrant from Gartner in analytics and BI. Also, we have a lot of great reviews on G2 and peer review. We have more than 1,000 customers today using us. Now you are going to ask, but who are the customers, right? So here we are. So we are cross industries, big names, obviously, smaller company also. We are extremely proud that they trust us with their business. So, BI is not new, right? When I was not even born, in France, we had like business objects. I don't know if everybody remember business object? Yes. Right? Exactly, right? So it was a great BI company some times ago. Actually, some customers are still using business object, believe it or not. It's great. Anyway, so the BI world starts since the beginning from the visualization point of view, right? I want to be able to visualize my data. I want to have a dashboard. And these are great. And don't get me wrong, they are not going away. They are here to stay. But at the same time, and this is really what the philosophy of ThoughtSpot, how can we build a system like you are on Google, right? When you want something, you search and you find what you want. So that's really what the principle of ThoughtSpot, how we can allow our customers to search data, right? And obviously, with LLM, it's even bringing us more technology to go further out. So now we are embedded LLM technology to provide an agentic experience where you can really ask in natural language and get answers. And for us, really, this is a combo, the winning combo for our customers, providing visualizations, but also agentic experience altogether. And of course, we are also looking at the future with autonomous, which is something that we are working on next. How we are deploying this technology, right? We have 6 main components. So the first one is the AI agent. Everybody should have a personal assistant to answer data questions. Then the dashboard, as I mentioned, they are not going away, but it's not because they are not going away that we cannot modernize them, which we have done. So we have infused AI in our dashboard capabilities that now it can provide you insight directly on the dashboard. You can drill down. I will show you that. Finally, all this goodness, a lot of companies, they actually have customers also. And they want to be able to share this insight with their customers. So that's why all our product can be embedded in our customer application for their customer directly. And so you cannot power everything like that without a data layer, which are the 3 other dots on the left. First, data management, right? So we want to make it easy and simple. That's why we connect directly on top of your data warehouse, Databricks, for example. So you don't have to move the data. You can run all the dashboard, you can run the agentic experience without moving any data thanks to a semantic model. So the semantic model is really like the key of all the puzzle. Through the semantic model, you are going to be able to run the right SQL statement to your Databricks. But as a user, you are going to be able to describe all the tables, all the relationship, all the description of your informations that then are going to be used by the dashboard and the agents. And finally, we don't forget the data scientist people. We know that they need to be able to write Python notebook. They need to be able to run SQL queries. They need to be able to prepare a little bit more their data. So that's why we have Analytics Studio at the top of the pyramid. So thanks to this agentic analytics platform, there is 3 things that we want to do, right, as I mentioned it. First, we really want to offer a dedicated analyst to everybody. Everybody should be able to ask their question in natural language. Secondly, we want all the insight from the dashboard to be connected to the people. So we don't want necessarily them to go to a dashboard to ThoughtSpot. We want to be integrated in Slack. We want to be integrated in Teams. We want to be integrated in Google Slide, PowerPoint, in Salesforce if you're the Salesforce, ServiceNow, and name it, right? It needs to be connected to the people where they are. And finally, as I mentioned, we need to be able to bring this intelligence into everybody's applications. So if, as a customer, you are creating your own applications, you want to be able to embed this analytics for your customers directly, because every company at some point is a data company, and you need to be able to leverage all the data that you have in your environment. So no more slide. Let's go to a demo. Who is ready for a demo? Good, thanks. So let's try that. It's the first time that I have subtitles here. I think it's really cool. So for once, people can understand what I'm saying. So it's kind of nice. Anyway, let's start. So everything is live, so hopefully everything is working well. Okay, here we go. Okay, so, whoopsie. So, you are in a conference. Obviously, you don't have your laptop. So what you got? You got your mobile phone. Here, this is my mobile phone. I have my ThoughtSpot application. There you go. See, it's live. Okay. Oops, sorry. Tuck. Up. There we go. Let's try again. Okay. So here we go. So it's landing on my what we call the watch list. Watch list is like the list of KPI that matters the most for you. So in this example, let's say I'm a VP of customer success, right? I care about churn. Who is churning? What are the support calls, support volume, and everything like that. I can see everything here from my mobile phone right away. If I click on any widget, I can see why the numbers is changing, and I can see the drivers behind the change here, just right at the bottom. So everything is at my fingertips. But I can also have access directly to Spotter, my personal assistant. So here, I can ask him, for example, and you can see some pre-can question, right? Monthly trends for customers. I click here, and this is going to run my queries right away on my mobile phone. But as I mentioned before, right, live boards are not dead. And here it is, my live board, my favorite live board. I can access it here, and it's available. And what is really amazing with this application is you don't have to create specific setup for mobile. You don't have to create layout for your dashboard for mobile. Everything out of the box is working right away. Now let's say I'm arrived to the office. So I go back here. There we go. Oops. Tack. So now I go to my desktop, and here's an example of dashboard that you can get in ThoughtSpot. So it looks like a normal dashboard. You will tell me yeah, I have the same in Tableau, Power BI, blah, blah, blah. But actually not really. There is a lot of great features that we have added there. So the first thing that I love is when I go here, I don't want to read all the numbers. I don't want to understand what's going on here. I just want to click on one button, AI highlight. And with this button, automatically, I'm going to have a summary of it, summary of my dashboard. Here we go. So Francois, you need to know that we have unexpected change of support calls. The numbers is dropping a lot more than expected. And here are the reason why. And by the way, the churn rate is kind of like normal and okay and so on. So a personalized summary, I can subscribe to it by email also. So every Monday morning, I will get all the information before I arrive to the office. But also, every widget is smart here. So for example, you know, every time you have like a question on the dashboard, like, hey, this number is going high, but actually, what are the churn reasons? So here, I don't need to call somebody to change the dashboard. I can very simply click drill down, and I can select the churn reason. And right here, without doing anything special effort, I have now all the churn reasons for this specific month. And I can continue here. Oh, service issue. Can I do it by state to know which state have specific service issue? And here we go. So looks like if you go to Illinois, it's not so great. So that's really like what we speak about dynamic dashboarding. That is really cool. But also, if a number is changing, I can click and I can select, why is this number is increasing like here? Again, one click in analyze change, I can get a change analysis and I have all the drivers that are changing my numbers here. All the primary reasons are available. And it's not done, right? I have much more capabilities. I can click on Spot IQ and bring a full team of data scientists right to me. I can do forecasting, I can do trend analysis, I can do outliners. Everything is embedded inside my dashboard at a click away. And you know, as you can see here, all the visualization are really cool because we are actually using our own visualization libraries, which have more than 40 different chart types. And if you don't like ours, you can even create your own. So it's really, really, really powerful. And finally, you know, if you don't like to drill down because you're kind of lazy, you know, you still have Spotter. So Spotter, in one click, I'm going to be able to ask question on this widget with natural language. So again, I don't have to bring somebody else in the team, and I can say, okay, you know, what is the churn reason for, let's say, March 2025? So, and right away from there, next, you know, it's the same if I will have some analyst next to me, I'm going to get the answer right away. And I have my answer. And still, we are using what we call the search token, which is a representation of the SQL query. Because again, we are targeting the end users. End users don't know SQL. Like, who knows SQL in the room here? Are you like familiar? See, like, you know, very few people. So we want to speak to everybody here. So that's why the search token is really like an expression of it that allow you to validate what Spotter is telling you and say, yeah, okay, this looks correct, or no, don't look correct, and then you can do some fixing. So that's, you know, what we call the dashboard experience. What is amazing there is, you know, if I use Salesforce every day, I don't want to go to ThoughtSpot. I go to Salesforce, and here inside Salesforce, I have access to all the live board capabilities. I have access to Spotter. Again, same experience here. I can ask all my questions. It's really powerful. Again, also, if I have like some PowerPoint presentation or Google slide, I can embed Spotter. I can embed ThoughtSpot like right away where I work. So right in PowerPoint, I can scroll through all the dashboard, and I can plug directly the visualization from there. And the really cool features, you know, like with creating like, you know, a presentation that you have to update every week on Monday to send to your boss, right? Here in one click, it's going to refresh all the slides with the latest data. So really cool. And of course, you have the same in Google Sheets. So here, believe it or not, but this is coming right away from ThoughtSpot. Cool, now? Okay. So, next, you are like, you know, Francois, we are in 2025, Liveboard is great, but what if I want to speak directly to my analyst, right? What if I don't want to go to the dashboard? I say, sure, great, let's do that. So here, you can use also Spotter as a free-form chat windows. So here again, I'm on the same customer churn database. model. And the first question I'm going to ask is actually, I don't really know what question can I ask. Because one of the biggest questions in analytics is actually, what is the right questions? So here, I just ask, what is this data? So what happens when you do that? We are going to query the semantic layers that you have created. And inside the semantic layers, you have all the columns, you have the descriptions. They can come from Unity, of course, from Databricks. But it's really going to give you like context of this information. And then Spotter can query it directly. So in this example, Spotter was able to tell me like, actually, Francois, you can run churn analysis prediction because these are the columns available in your data set. And these are some example of questions that you can ask. But you can also do analysis on customer segmentation and demographic, or you can do analysis on financial usage and analytics. So I kind of want to continue in my churn analysis. So I'm going to ask him like, what can we do about the number 1 customer churn analysis? And here I'm going to go a level deeper. So here again, for customer churn analysis, these are all the columns that you should use with some descriptions. And basically, by the way, this description is not part of our semantic layers. This has been generated automatically. Then here are some type of question I can ask. So I'm like, yeah, okay, good suggestions. Let's just go to ask the questions. So here, very simply, is going to ask all the questions using the same search token technologies that I showed you before, right? So you really understand what has been done, and you can kind of control it. So we support table, we support graphic. So here, the top 10 reasons of churn, where churn equal true, and sorted by churn reason. So again, very easy to understand. And if you don't like the answer, you can coach the system. So I can say, you know what, when I ask this question, actually, I don't want to be treated like that. So you can edit the answer and add it to the coaching so that the system becomes smarter time over time. But it's not over, right? Spotter can do more. One thing I really like is actually when it's creating like calculation on my behalf. So here, for example, I'm like, what is customer lifetime value by state? We, in the data set, in the model, we don't have anywhere the definition of customer lifetime value. But customer lifetime value is a well-known formula, right? So Spotter is going to ask to LLM, what is the definition of customer lifetime value? And then we are going to map it to the tables we have, to the semantic layers that we have created. And using the semantic layers and definition from LLM, we are creating the formula directly on the fly. So then I have my result. Again, I don't need to go somewhere to create a formula. It's all done automatically, which is really cool. The last 2 things I want to show you before to move on is from Spotter, is what we call, oh, it's not this one, sorry. More skills. So you have to think about Spotter like, it's like a teenager, right? You are training him to do stuff. So today, you can answer data questions. You can answer what we call data literacy, which is data about your semantic layers. But we have also added some new other skills. The skills that I share with you on the live board, understanding why numbers are changing, we also train Spotter to answer this type of questions. So now if I go here and I ask him like, what is my monthly churn? I'm going to be able to ask a follow-up question, which is, here, my number increased. So why is my number increasing? And very easily, again, using the skills that we call Spot IQ, which is a change analysis, is going to be able to tell me exactly what changed. So again, right through a conversation experience. So here, Francois, churn have increased by 42%, not great, obviously. And these are the different insights that you should be aware of. And again, all the data to back the insight here are available through the same interface. So through the same visualization, again, I can edit, I can save, I can create a live board from it. It's really like an embedded experience. Spotter is not like on the side, but it's really like fully part of our product. And so I show you like, Spotter as your personal assistant. I show you like how you can have live board with AI embedded, how you can embed it in Salesforce, how you have it on mobile, how you have it on Google Drive, PowerPoint. We also can, and this is a very common use case for our customers, how they can bring all ThoughtSpot in their own applications. So here, it's an example of company, Nexora. And Nexora have decided to push this information to their customers directly. So now, everything like that I showed you before, it's available in this completely like custom application created by fictitious customers. They can embed all this information as an OEM or white label, if you say. Nobody will know it's coming from ThoughtSpot, but it will all of them without having to build everything to do that. Really cool. So my last demo, it's one of the latest things that we have announced actually last week. It's about Spotter, but who is aware of the MCP protocol? Who ever heard about it? So not many people. So MCP is basically a way for to bring more information to an agent. So as you know, in your company, you may already have created an agent to answer knowledge questions. And you want to be able to bring a new skills to this agent. You want this agent that you have created be able to answer data question, for example. And to be able to do that, the MCP is very helpful because very easily you are going to be able to plug to your own agent in your company the skills of Spotter. And this is what we have released recently. So to be able to set up that, it's very easy, right? It's not like API code in every way, complex things to do. It's the only thing that I had to do is specify the link to the MCP server of ThoughtSpot. Doing that, I'm using now an agent. In this case, I'm taking Claude because Claude supports the MCP protocol. And so now Claude can speak directly to ThoughtSpot, thanks to the line I show you here. So you can do that with whatever agentic you may have developed in your company. And so ThoughtSpot will have multiple skills. It will be able to get relevant questions, which is kind of accessing our reasoning engine. It can get straight answer to questions, and it can even create dashboard. So now I'm just going to show you an example of that. So here, I'm going to ask Claude, so I want to raise the price of my vehicle. There you go. Next year, how should I approach this? So Claude is going to look at all the different integration is available to him. And so looking at ThoughtSpot is going to leverage it and first call the get relevant questions. So if I want to increase the price, what are the sub-questions I need to ask for? ThoughtSpot is going to answer these questions pretty soon. So it's live, as you can see here. So it provided all the hits of all the questions you should ask for. And then Cloud is going to ask every question one by one to be able to come up to a final conclusion of these things. So I don't want to, we are a little bit on time. So let me go back to a previous questions that I did. Here we go. So, through the same process, here's the key finding. So all the data to back what Claude was saying is based on queries that was done dynamically through ThoughtSpot. And the query was also dynamically done on your Databricks directly. No implementation, nothing. And then, so you bring very valuable insight using this data coming from ThoughtSpot. And now you know how to increase your car to make more profit next summer. So it's kind of cool. So that's what a presentation about ThoughtSpot, a little bit about what we are doing, what are the main capabilities. So if you want to learn more, we have launched what we call DataSpot, which is a specific edition for Databricks. We have a booth downstairs. You can visit us, and you can scan this QR code, which I don't know what it's going to do, but you can try, and you will see. Thank you very much, and again, thank you, Ben, for your presentations.